What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the workshop. I hope you're all keeping well. Now, in this video, I'm going to be tackling my workbench. So, followers of my channel, you guys will remember I had a hand tool workbench made out of 2x4 and I have an MFT table. Well, I'm trying to get more space in my workshop, so I'm knocking it down to one workbench. So I'm going to try and incorporate this 2x4 or 4x2 section into my MFT table and kind of use it as a prototype. So I do intend on rebuilding an entire workbench later on in the year, but I want to get this put together, just roughly put together, see how it all works, and then from that I can build a plan. So that's what I'm going to do in this video, get this section into this workshop, because as it stands at the minute, I don't have a workbench when it's set up like this. I can either use my MFT table or my hand tool section. So without further ado, let's pull this workbench apart. Now I want to keep the router end table untouched if I can. I don't want to pull this whole workbench apart if I can avoid that as well. So I'm not quite sure how this video is going to go. It might be a bit rough and ready, but as long as it works and as long as we have something we can test, then that's all I want at the end of this video. So let's crack on and do it. Okay, first thing to do is move these two tabletops. Now they're quite heavy. I want to keep the one with the tail vise in it. That's the one we're going to be using. This I have a plan for down the road. It's actually quite a hefty worktop and it's going to come in pretty useful for something if that plan does go ahead. I won't share it with you quite yet, but it's in the way and it's bloody heavy, so I got to find somewhere to put it. Now this is the section that we're keeping, so we'll put this to the side somewhere where it's accessible. Okay, so we can start disassembling this. Now, like I said, I want to keep this section untouched. That's my router table end. I'm going to remove the MFT top. So we put off all the siding and then see how this is going to fit together. And like I said, hopefully I don't have to pull this whole bench apart because that would suck. Right. So that's the top of our MFT table removed. Now I have to incorporate the 4x2 section in here. So this has to drop down on this side so that it's flush with the 1-inch thick MDF board or 25mm board that I have here. So we have to try and chop up this frame a small bit whilst keeping that side of the frame the same. So we'll have to think about this. Now, one disadvantage of my table, as you can see, is all the dirt and stuff that gathers underneath here. So when I'm rebuilding and redesigning the new workbench, I think a torsion box side for the MFT table that you have access underneath it for cleaning stuff out and you can lock on your dogs and that kind of thing. This style is not ideal unless you can actually leave yourself access under the table, then it's fine. But as you can see, I don't have access under the table and you get all this dirt gathering. And there is the top of my glue box or bottle. I've been looking for that for months. Happy days. So let's get this cleaned off. We'll get our table, our bench top in place, and we'll make a plan. Okay, so before I alter this frame, I'm going to cut my worktop pieces to size. So I want this to be flush with the end leg here. That's how that's going to work out, and it's going to be flush with the end of the router table as well. So we know that measurement. I can just measure from here to here, and I think my chop saw might be big enough to cut this. If not, I'll have to do it with the track saw. No big deal. Although the track saw might not have the depth to cut. So hopefully my big chop saw can do this. I think it can. Right, so that's that. And then we can cut the MFT table. Now, the only thing is this isn't perfectly square. So yeah, we'll see how it's all going to go together. I might have to run the track saw down the edge of this to square off one side. But let's get this cut and in place and we can take a look at that. Okay, let's just square this across and see if these two lines actually meet up. They do. Okay, so the edges are pretty parallel, hopefully. This square I know is exactly exact. It comes fully calibrated with a cert and it is extremely square. So that's a good reference line. Let's chop this on our miter saw. Okay, let's get this on the miter saw. hopefully we have the capacity. I think we do. God, it's heavy. Okay, this is a pretty big cut, but everything is clamped in place. Everything looks to be nice and square. So yeah, happy days. And this has plenty of capacity, so we should be good to go. See, we have a bloody screw inside in that. That's not going to be good for my nice new blade. Would you look at that? That was pretty careless of me now. Okay, so that's that worktop cut and in place. Now I probably pushed that miter saw a little bit beyond its capability, but I cut it nonetheless. I have a good square cut on the end here. It's matching up nicely with my router table. Now you can see the height discrepancy I have here. Obviously I want this to be flush with this, so that's the alteration we have to make to the frame. I can't make it to that side of the frame because the MFT table, that's already set up to keep the MFT table flush. So we'll stick in a few noggin pieces, we'll have to chop this side of the frame, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. So now what I want to do is cut the MFT table to fit into this section, and then we'll be able to lay out our frame. We'll know exactly where we are. Let's do that. Just make sure everything is nice and flush, which it is. Get this measurement here, and that is 84.8. 84.8. 848 millimeters. Exactly. Right, so that's what we need to cut our MFT table to now. So it's track saw time. Let's get that set up. I still love how quick and easy it is to join these Bosch track saws. If only it worked with an MFT table, it would be the perfect track. I think they're fantastic. Nice and straight and quick and easy to join them, just like that. Okay, we're set up to make this cut. Trying to be as exact as I can, so we'll just check it with the ruler. Both ends, which is pretty bang on to the millimeter, and I have it clamped in place. So yeah, let's just run this cut, see how we get on. Okay, that went quite well. Now hoses and power lines are a complete pain in the backside when you're using a track saw. They just snag and catch everywhere. I used to have a good solution when my MFT table was there, but I think I have a better solution now, which will be coming up in a later video. We might install a track system up in the ceiling somewhere for holding all this stuff for us. So let's get this in place and see how we did. Now I actually need to flip this around, because I'm going to be using my MFT table from this side. But it should be perfectly square. Okay, I have the bench laid out exactly how I want it. Our joints are nice and tight. A little bit of shimming to do there just to get that perfectly flush, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp the MFT table in section, or in place, and then we can use this to build our frame off. So just to make sure that this doesn't move, just a couple of clamps here and there should do. And we can take off our workbench section, and we can see, actually before I do that, I need to get the depth of how much I need to take off this frame, which is exactly that. Now, is that the same all around? It is not. Okay. There's 5 mil in the difference. Okay, so I know the underside of my 4x2 is not flush. This stuff moved all over the place. It's not perfectly flat, so we might have to do a little bit of shimming. So I think what we should do is probably take the maximum depth, and we can shim the rest if we have to. So that's how much we want to take out of our frame. That's our depth measurement there now. Okay. Set him aside for now. Okay, so we can use the MFT table now to mark our frame so we can see exactly where I need to alter this. Okay, now we can remove the MFT top, reinforce this side, and then we have to cut this section out. Okay guys, I've just pulled off the router table there and I've added some brace pieces. So we've some cross pieces gone in, some noggins, just to support this frame. Now, I need to cut off this front section and then try and build a frame that's going to sit underneath the hand tool workbench section, the 2x4 section. Now it's just a little bit off a 4x2 on its face, so I might just have to rip these down to build a frame, but we'll do that in a second. First I want to cut this section out, so I'm going to do that with a track saw. Now it's all braced up and the plywood drawer system and my kind of cupboard area there should hold the frame together. Hopefully. It shouldn't move and fall all over the place. And we can just cut off this front section. So we'll do that with the track saw. My circular saw is actually broke, so I'm going to have to do all this with the track saw. But yeah, no big deal. Let's get on and do it. Okay, I'm going to go maximum depth of cut with my track saw. I have it lined up to the edge that I marked off the MFT table. And we'll just finish this off with a hand saw. So let's get going. Okay, before I chop this all the way through, I'm actually going to run the track saw across the front of this. So I have the depths marked. I took the depth earlier on, if you remember, with my little square. So I have them marked on the legs. I'm just going to square them lines across. I can clamp the track to the front of this and just run it across it. And it should be happy days. I have the screws pulled out of it. I don't want to make that mistake again. Now this one, I only need to take a check out of this one, so that much. So we have to run the track saw in that way as well. Okay, now like I said, hopefully this will all stay together. Fingers crossed. So let's do it. Hit another screw. I'm hell bent on ruining my saw blades today, but yeah, we can finish all this off now with a handsaw. Okay, we're all cut down to size, so that's where the 4x2 workbench is going to sit in. Now, as you can see, it would be ideal if I could just put 4x2s underneath it and sit it on top of it, but I haven't the height for that. I'm about 10 mil, I'd say, off, so I could rip these down 10 mil off these 4x2s to put a section underneath it. Another obvious issue that I have now is the middle of the bench is not really supported, so the weight of the worktop is not getting down through the floor. It is on the edges here, but the side cabinets weren't designed to transfer weight to the floor. It's the legs that are designed to do that. But I can use my workbench 4x2 as a stressed member now. So I can fix this, screw this into my workbench, into my 4x2. That will be supported off this. And we have a support on the edge and edge. So it should be good enough. So we're supported here and here. I might rip down a piece for the middle to screw to this leg, which will screw to here, which will sit under the workbench. And we might put one either end as well. So yeah, let's get everything kind of back on top and we'll see how this is going to come together. Okay, so the frame for the router table, that's all perfect. That's all as was built. Nothing has changed there. That's still good and solid. So we can throw the router back into place now. Just like that. Sits there. Make sure the flex isn't cut, and it isn't. So, days. Okay. Now let's get our MFT tabletop on and see how that's aligning, because we will have to shim this, I assume, but no big deal. It's just going to take a little bit of fiddling and finessing to get everything to go together. Okay. Okay, I've just shimmed this up so that this is perfectly level. So that'll give me my height for this and the frame piece that I need to cut from underneath. So if I just hold this to the bottom of the level, get that perfectly level, and try and take a measurement. Smaller ruler, 35 millimeters exactly. And that's 40. Okay, I need to rip this down to 35. Okay. Okay guys, we're looking pretty good. Again, I'm not trying to achieve absolute perfection here. This is kind of a, you know, a bodge job as a test prototype type of thing. We'll see how this works out. Again, I'm reusing an old workbench. It wasn't designed to do this, so I'm kind of matching two different benches together. But however, so I have my two spacers in underneath there. I have some packers now underneath this frame to support it up. I actually have plywood sheets, so I have 1/2 inch ply here, 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 and here. That's going all the way to the ground. It's actually 3/4 ply is what the cabinet is made out of. So that can transfer the weight of the bench down through it. There's plenty of actual support there. It wasn't the actual intention, but you know, it's good enough. And we have the side legs, the front legs, and a side leg on this side as well to support the workbench. So I'm just going to put these underneath here as packers. The workbench can sit on top of that. I am pretty level all the way across. Now again, the underside of this 4x2 is not perfectly flat. So I'm good and flush here. I'm a little bit proud here. I'm not too worried about that. A hand plane will sort that out in a couple of seconds. So that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with where I am. Now what I'm going to do is just pull the MFT table back out of the way. And we will get some screws in here into this, and that'll help support this part of the frame. Again, I have packers in underneath here as well, and we should be able to fix this in place. So let's do that. Okay, let's get some screws in this. Now I noticed the exposure going crazy on the camera in the last clip. That wasn't the sun going in and out, that was the camera doing that. I have no idea why, so hopefully it doesn't do it again. The joys of filming. Okay, so let's get some screws in this. Now, that should strengthen everything up. Okay, now we just need to sort out attaching this to the legs, and we should be happy days. Okay, we're nearly there. Just need to get the side pieces back on again, just to help protect the edge of the MDF. So we'll screw this back on. I'll have to cut those sides now because they're going to be a little bit different. But no problem. Okay guys, we are so close to being done. I just need to recut the notch for the sacrificial piece for my MFT table. As you can see, the notch is no longer where it used to be because this has moved now. I've flipped my table around, so I don't have to be too particular about this. A rough depth about there. And that was a good guess. Stopped the saw exactly where it needed to be. Something has seemed to have expanded there. Just flush that off. Lovely. Okay guys, there we go. Everything is now fit in place, screwed back in, and it's all set up, ready to go. So I have my MFT table and I have my hand tool working area. And it's good and solid. It's directing all that force down into the floor, which is exactly what you want from your workbench. So this is good and solid, like I say. I can put back in my planing stop now as well, can use that. I have an overhang here on the front so I can clamp my moxing vise on. I can already see areas when I'm redesigning the new workbench what I'm going to do. So obviously I want a face vise, so I need to allow for that to go in underneath the bench. The drawers there won't work in that situation. I do want an overhang because I really want to be able to clamp stuff to the front of the bench. The apron is great for maybe one side of a bench, but having an apron on both sides, you can't use your clamps then. So I'm happy now that I have a nice big chunky area to use my clamps on. I can't use my, where are they, my holdfasts. So that's something else. I want to be able to use these. So you need a hole the whole way through. So I might leave the area under the new design of the hand tool bench completely free or open. Just so I can use my holdfasts and anything else that I want to knock down through the bench, and I have access to underneath it. Keep all my shelves, drawers, everything to the ends to that side. So I can already see how this is going to work. I'm going to use this now over the next couple of months and see what I like, what I don't like, and it's going to give me some great ideas for designing the new bench. And my track saw cutting station is set up on this side. I'll give you a close up of that. Okay, so I'll be using my cutting station now from this side, the opposite side of the bench. I haven't decided whether to continue these holes onto this bench yet or not. I think I have enough holes to kind of do anything that I might need to do on this bench. I'm not going to be cutting stuff that's too long, but if I find that I do want to extend them holes, I have the jig to do it, and I can extend them holes to about here into this bench if I so choose. But we have our dog set in place, we have our track, I have my sacrificial strip in the middle, my UJK fence, everything is nicely set up there now. It's easy just to square repeatable cuts. The Bosch saw fits on the Festool rail, which is great. And yeah, nice, quick and easy to use. And I can also just take all this stuff and put it away when I need more space for when I'm doing the hand tool woodworking. I can have a nice big assembly table as well. So yeah, it's kind of an all-in-one. So my router table stays in place. Fence is here. That's removable, so I still have a nice big workspace. That's easy, just pop that off. My router lift is in place there, so I didn't have to do any alteration on this end, which was great. No extra work there. So yeah, I think I'm really happy actually with how this has turned out. Okay guys, there we go, some work done in the workshop at last. Now I can start using this bench, see how I like it. The layout I'm actually really happy with already. I'm already getting some ideas, like I said, for the final design, but I'll use this for a couple of months, see how it goes. The MFT table, I don't think I have to change much with. The router end, that's been perfect, no complaints there. Might have to make some alterations to the hand tool section, but I'll be rebuilding this out of a hardwood, maybe a maple top, but keeping it that size would keep it quite affordable. I don't have to change the MDF top. I might put a black laminate on top of this and on top of that just to make it look nice. Edge it with a nice hardwood and rethink about how I might do the frame. So I might do that out of plywood depending on how expensive it is. Make a torsion box maybe for underneath this as well. So there's lots of little ideas like that. Like I said, I'll use it over the next couple of months, see what I want to do and design it as I go. But so far, I'm really liking the layout. And I'm going to get back to making some hand tool stuff again, which I can't wait to do. So I've no excuses now. The workbench is sorted. I can actually start making stuff and I've saved a good bit of room in the shop as well. As always guys, thanks very much for watching. If you're new here, think about subscribing. Any questions, any comments, any ideas you might have about this bench, let me know. I love to hear from you guys and I always do get some great advice and great ideas from the comments, which is the great thing about this channel as well. So that's it guys, I'm going to get out of here now. I have a lot of tidying up to do and I shall see you guys in the next video, which hopefully we'll start getting some projects going on this workbench. So until then, take it easy.